All right, we're back. Judd'z Budz episode. Oh, it's right there. 141. As always, your host Spoke Z, joined by my good buddy, Mr. At State of Happy. How we doing?
Oh, I'm so happy. I was wondering if that was going to trip you up that I made it
did.
super easy for you.
It did a little bit.
The people that don't understand like Z's complex with knowing which episode number it is, like I promise it's not that he's like illiterate or anything. Usually we're going live for these and Isha does a really, really long title to make SEO happy for YouTube. Yeah, some of the all caps is a little over the top, but having all the stuff for SEO is smart. And so it like pushes the number either way off to the side, or sometimes you even have to like hover over it to see it. This time it's literally just Judd'z Budz EP 141. So that was
anyone that's, I doubt there's many of these, but anyone that has listened for the last, this is year 3. Holy shit. Or is it year 4?
I don't even know if that seems long or short to me.
Yeah, it's crazy. This is year 4. Holy fuck. Before you did this with me every week, and I was just by myself, anyone that has listened to those will remember. Every week I was like, I have no fucking idea what episode this is. Like, I literally had no idea. I was like, 11? Maybe? Oh, shit. No, okay, 17. All right, not even close. That's not even, I'm off by 6 weeks. I was just, like, losing my mind. But it's been a thing. I've never...
It's fun.
Even when I do look at the outline before, like, I just skip over the episode number.
What's the Gretzky plus for this one? Because weirdly, I can only think of 142 off the top of my head. Who?
Andy Sutton, I think, was number 42.
Okay.
I think I should probably check. I feel like we've used it. Did he?
Now I need to double check that mine is correct because now I'm like double taking between 2 players.
I don't think anyone's had 42 for very long.
Well, and I wasn't even thinking wild. I was just thinking like who is a player.
Yeah, Andy Sutton.
And I absolutely, I'm pretty sure got this one wrong. Oh no, I did get it right. Okay. He had a bunch of different numbers, but with Columbus, we had Alexander Texier.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason, that's the one that popped to mind for me. But I was thinking that there's another one too. I'm going to type in, I got to know, NHL 42 jersey number. Oh, gosh. This one stings a little bit. Kasperi Kapanen is one.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason that one is blocked from my brain. He's a good kid. I'm sad that it didn't work for him, but he wasn't
every time I hear his name now, the first clip that I think of is like, I think it was they're playing, it was Leafs versus Canadians, and he like threw his stick on a breakaway or something, so the Canadians had like a penalty shot or whatever, and like the camera goes to Max Domi, and it's just Max Domi's whole face going, "Way to go, Cappy, you fucking idiot!" It was so funny. It was so funny. You fucking idiot.
I just came across one that I don't know. Maybe Russo won't grab beers with us when you visit now. Who's Russo's boy that wears 42? May or may not have won a Stanley Cup last year.
Forsling?
Yeah.
But
there are a lot of other 42s. That's just not a number that I'm as familiar with. So anyone that's watching this on YouTube after the fact, comment your favorite number 42. Today we've got a couple of topics. The first and really most important one that I'm sure everyone wanted to hear from us on this Monday when we had some off-screen stuff we had to take care of. The trade happened, and I'm never the guy to raise my hand and be like, hey, we were on this first. The second that there was any even inkling that Jiricek might be traded, we're immediately like, this needs to be done. This needs to happen here. Granted, we thought it was going to be Rossi because for whatever reason, Billy doesn't seem to want to commit on him one way or the other. But let's talk through a couple of different things here, Z. The trade itself, giving up Damon Hunt and 4 draft picks, first, second, third, fourth, scattered across different years. Do you have any problem with giving up that much for one player? Is it a preferred method for you to give up quantity to bring in, perceived quality, before we even get into really what the floor and ceiling look like for this guy?
So at first, before the years of those draft picks came out, I was like, oh, that's a good amount. But the fact that it's only the first round pick's the only pick in 2025, and then the second round pick and fourth round pick are in 2027, I have no problem with that whatsoever. And you don't give up like a top prospect. Damon Hunt's an NHL player at this point.
Yeah.
He should be playing in the NHL. We'll see what happens to Columbus because they still have like, I want to use the word deep. They have a high quantity of NHL defensemen already in their lineup, so we'll see if he gets in.
He's got to be less boxed out than he was here, though.
Right. Right? Absolutely.
And let's just give you like 1 or 2 minutes here to wax poetic, because since the dawn of time, you have been a large supporter of the psychotic Matejchuk Hunt pairing in Major Junior. These boys are reunited, and we've been asking for it. I'd say like every month or two, it comes up somehow. How happy are you that these guys are reunited?
Yeah, again, season 1 of Judd'z Budz, I would be going off. Maybe it was year 2, I don't even remember. But just in Moose Jaw, the combination, the D pair of Denton Matejchuk and Damon Hunt, absolute cocaine hockey. Like they were F1 and F2 on the forecheck. Then they were the first 2 back, absolutely laying people out. Damon Hunt had like a goal every other game. Denton Matejchuk was like a point per game player. They were the most dynamic D pair I had seen in a very, very, very long time, and one of the best overall D pairs I've seen in the WHL. So I desperately need them to eventually find their way back to playing together, because they were so fun to watch. It will be interesting though, because if people remember when Damon Hunt was still playing in the WHL, I was like, he can absolutely not play like this in the NHL. Like he won't be like this won't work, because he is essentially just a rover out there. He looks like a forward. He plays like a forward, and he's like scoring goals like a middle 6 forward. And he immediately adjusted his game to the AHL and the NHL and played a far more responsible and translatable game, and it worked out for him. Obviously, like not to the extent he became a full-time NHL player here, just given how many people were boxing him out. But so it'll be interesting to see if they do end up eventually playing together. If any of that old WHL David Hunt comes back out, I have a feeling it probably won't. I don't think Dean Everson was
Matejchuk, like a flip just
literally, yeah.
A switch gets flipped. I messed
that
up.
They were so fun.
But yeah.
They were so fun to watch. So again, I desperately need them to be playing together. I don't know if he went down to Cleveland. I'm assuming that he did, because I don't think he's playing yet in the NHL or with Columbus. Sure. But if that's the case, then I really hope that they're playing together down there.
Required.
Yeah, absolutely. But that was one of the first things that came up. We were like, oh my God, he's going to get to play with Matejchuk again.
Yeah. I feel like it has to happen in the AHL, because there's no way that Dean Evison is going to allow those two to do their thing in the NHL. That is like very anti-Evison. I love Dean Evison, and like he's doing awesome things over there. Dean Evison isn't going to put up with that shit.
No, not at all. That would not be. That will not be tolerated. Like again, for people who never saw that or never listened to me talk about this in years past, if you can find videos of the Moose Jaw Warriors that year, this would have been 2021, maybe 2022. It was must watch TV. I think Matejchuk at one point was like top 10 in the WHL for puck touches per game. Like the puck was on his stick 60-70% of the game. It was insane. And then Hunt was just unloading bombs because, I mean, again, we haven't really seen him even in Iowa. He doesn't get a whole lot of offensive like opportunities anyways, so people forget how ridiculous of a shot he has. Like he's got a cannon of a one-timer, a slap shot. But I mean, they'd be in the slot. They'd be again F1 and F2 on the forecheck. It was insane. And then Hunt was just blowing people up, fighting everybody. Then Matejchuk would start fighting someone. They were like the Batch brothers putting up almost like point per game numbers. It was insane. It was so fun to watch. So again, desperately need them to be on the same pair at some point here, because I'll be curious to see what it looks like now. The mature David Hunt's like, Denton, we can't play like that again, buddy. If we want to play for Dino, we can.
Denton, what are you wearing, bro? Figure out your fit.
yeah, come on.
I didn't even factor in, since Hunt's gone, that means Mikey Milne is the de facto Mr. GQ. He is the dresses well guy. Because when we had Lambos on and we had him do all the superlatives on Fellowship of the Rink, he said Damon Hunt is like the obvious answer, but he's like the 1B is absolutely Mikey Milne. So
I love that. It's true. He is like Mikey Milne is just so fun, like a little ball of chaos, and he's just like hilarious. Like especially I said this before they drafted him. Like I think he's chirping just like 80% of the game. He looks like he would be like complete non-factor. That he's got like 3 points in a game in the like he was ripping apart the WHL his last year there. And he's again since getting to Iowa, he's just been solid and putting up good points. So. But just like the all-around play combined with the fact that he is just nonstop running his mouth, the pictures of him in the outfits getting into the arena are incredible. So Mikey Milne rules.
Yeah. Now, before we get back to Jiricek, philosophical question. Trades like this, because I love being on like the receiving end, like the Wild were of, hey, give up the quantity, get the quality, or at least, obviously Billy and Judd feel it's quality. Is that something you can only do if you have like the depth of prospects that the Wild do, or do you think that like any team, regardless of their prospect pool, you make a trade like this to get the upside of a player like Jiricek?
I mean, when you look like for the Wild specifically, they were in the prime position to do this, especially when you looked at like we've talked about this before. The left side of their defense in the prospect pool is absolutely loaded. Like there's too many. We'll have to stay tuned over the next like year or two to see who comes and goes, who eventually like sticks in the NHL.
We're going to start playing 3 defensemen and 2 forwards.
Yeah. But the right side, it's like Brock Faber, who's not a prospect. He was basically never actually a prospect, honestly. He pretty much just like got traded.
He was an LA King, and then he was our savior. There was no in between.
Yeah. And then, but after that, the right side of defense, like everyone knows how much I love Kyle Masters. He's a long-term project. Again, still may never end up making it in Minnesota, especially. But then you got like the recently drafted Sebastian Suini. You've got David Spacek, which feels like probably the one other right shot D-man that's just going to be in the lineup no matter what. But like they're pretty thin, and there wasn't a whole lot of like upside as far as like what Jiricek can bring to the table. Plus, you just factor in how well they've drafted over the past few years, and they still had plenty of picks to use. So, I mean, when you look at what a guy like Jiricek, like that type of prospect, adds, and then like the foundation that you have, like. First of all, they're first place in the NHL right now, but like looking forward to like when we would think that they would want to actually be contender / or really just like I'm sure in their plans they're planning on contending in the next few years. They've like David Jiricek just like adds like one of those pillars, especially the back end. So it kind of rounds out your like top of the lineup as far as the prospects and young players go. He's just another piece, and he doesn't have to be a number one either. That's the thing. You've got Brock Faber here already. So when we actually talk about the player, we'll go over some like the limitations or whatever, or like reasons he didn't end up cracking it in Columbus. But like the fact that you've got Faber on the ice for like half the game, he's not like Jiricek's isn't going to have to be forced to do a lot of things that he's maybe not the best at. So it's a good, again, I felt like Minnesota was just the right fit from the beginning. They've got the pieces to move to make it happen. And I actually was very surprised that the prospect going the other way was only Damon Hunt, 1 pick in 2025 and the rest of the picks in 2027. And you also get a 5th round pick back or 4th round pick.
Well, the word is, I think this was from Friedman. Maybe it was someone else. It was Friedman or Merrick, which like is very confusing now that I have to parse that because they don't record together. It sounded like the other teams that were willing to offer more were all Metro teams, and they didn't want to do that.
Right. And so, was it true? There was a team offering 2 firsts that eventually either like that got pulled or something.
I think 2 teams were like willing to go with 2 firsts, but again, they were both in the Metro from the sounds of it. And Columbus is like, weird. No. Right. I think it's extremely weird. It's different if it's a superstar, like an already proven guy. Like, let's say Kaprizov needs to be traded because he will not sign, and like you're not going to lose him for nothing. Trading him in division would be like psychotic, right? Like that I understand, like taking a little bit less of a return to get him out of the division. Ideally out of the conference, but with a prospect, it seems a little
that you've given up on,
right? That
you've already made the choice that isn't going. He's not like, going to be playing here. We have doubts that he's going to be a top of the lineup player. Like, who gives a fuck?
Well, especially because if he does pan out, no matter what, you look like shit, right? You're like, God damn it, we missed. This sucks. It's really not going to make a difference whether it's in or out of division. But
you're missing. Like, what was he? Sixth overall, right? So. It sucks enough that the pick that the 6th overall pick that you use isn't gonna pan out, isn't gonna be playing for you. Get the biggest return you possibly can, regardless of what team is offering. Like,
yep.
And I'm sorry, again, you've already given up on the guy. Like, you've decided that he's not gonna be playing here. Why are you limiting the return? Like. Even with him, even with the it's crazy because like the fact that there were teams willing to give up more.
Wait though. Petty Wars. What if it was Carolina?
God.
And Waddell was like, no.
That would be so funny.
Like, yeah, they actually offered us 3 firsts, but right here, guys.
They were offering first that they don't have, but like,
they were offering me the early seconds they're going to trade up for in perpetuity that are going to end up being stallions.
They're actually just going to draft for us. They're going to draft for us moving for the next 3 years. That's the return is they're just drafting our draft.
But okay, let's talk then floor and ceiling, right? Like, let's start with the bad, right? Like, what have we seen the last year or two that at least make it somewhat reasonable that a team moved on from him? Because we it's well established, right? Multiple coaches, multiple front office regimes. There's definitely a level of onus that goes on the player, but it's not like this is on him directly, right?
Right.
So what have we seen? What looks bad and what's looked okay so far? And then we'll spin into okay, here's where he could be based on what we saw draft here.
Yeah, I mean, so since he's been drafted and since he came over and played in the AHL, he looks to be a really solid 2A D-man. He was able to defend well enough, but then, when he gets his call-ups to the NHL, and this has been the thing that's the one kind of mark against him since his draft, well, just before he got drafted, is like just the foot speed. And there's been plenty of times in the NHL you've seen him get burned wide, and that's just something that probably isn't all that correctable. At that point, you're probably working more on just like anticipating early, like position stuff, and just mitigating the risk of like players taking him wide. And again, I think it was Portsline put out that like the major concern, or like the biggest reason that they decided to move on, was that lack of foot speed and the skating in general, which again, to me, is pretty crazy. It's like, fuck it. Like, let's just part ways with our 6th overall pick. He also mentioned the fact that like he's been getting loud about not being in the NHL. He's convinced he's an NHL player. And like, I guess it may have like rubbed some of his teammates the wrong way in the process. But like, again, unless it's like drastic and something that like is legitimately everyone's like, shut the fuck up and he won't, like whatever, then I'm like, all right, if there's just no way that like that could work, then fine. But it's the foot speed and the skating and just like his struggle defensively when called up to the NHL, I guess. I mean, that's just the big reason that he like got moved. And the fact that on like a pretty brutal Columbus Blue Jackets team since he got drafted, including their defenseman that they brought in, like he wasn't able to like crack that full time, even as like a 6. That's always going to be concerning anyways. But like clearly the situation just wasn't right for him there. But it's the big thing with him is the skating and like the struggling to defend that in the NHL level when he has been called up. Because in the AHL, he's been a beast. You see like the skating concerns pop up still there, obviously, like it pops up anywhere, but he's played really good hockey in the AHL since he's getting to Cleveland. He's like over a half a point per game since he's been there. So
see, defensemen aren't allowed to have time to develop. They're actually the easiest position to transition into the NHL with. I'm not sure if you heard this.
Yes,
people are
Brock Faber. Like that's how everyone.
That is a problem. He's really set a really bad bar. Like poor Zeev Buyam. If he doesn't score like 2 goals a game, people are going to think he's a bust.
This is terrible.
Now, if I told you like 2 or 3 years ago that the same organization would draft David Jiricek and give up on him within 2 years, but also give a 4x4 to Erica Branson, would you believe me?
Blow my mind. I like sometimes like. And that was the same summer that Philly gave Delorier a 4-year deal. That was like a weird time in general. But
was it the same year?
I think it was the same offseason.
Because it was the same year that Johnny Gaudreau got signed there. Because I know that was like the thing, like, oh yeah, buddies, like,
right,
sure, cool, but
okay,
like,
all right.
Yeah, people want to get mad about Billy's 4x4s. They're all better than a good Branson 4x4.
That one was legitimately. Remember, I would go on here and just be like, "Let me read you the 5-on-5 underlying numbers from Columbus Blue Jackets last night." When he was on the ice, the Columbus Blue Jackets had 4 shot attempts and 37 against, and he was on the ice for 5 fucking goals against an even strength. They went 0 for 2 on the PK. He literally did none of his job. It's insane. 4x4. Unbelievable.
Yeah. But all right, let's talk then ceiling. Like, if things go the right way, he comes in, he's got the right, like, locker room feel. The organization empowers him, fixes some of the things that are fixable, and, ends up being a big piece. I mean, you got Buyam and Faber long term. If this guy pans out, what are we looking at? Like, how could he project based on all the awesome things you were seeing going into his draft?
Yeah, so he's a player that, like, the fact that he's as big as he is and he's got the offensive toolkit that he has, he looks to be, and especially here in Minnesota where he doesn't have to be like a number 1 or a number 2, he can easily be probably like I would put him like a 4, a 3-4 that's going to give you good offense. And he's going to be able to be used significantly more offensively since again you already have guys like Booyam, like Faber's just still putting up offense, which is just, I mean, interesting. So he's not going to have to be like the go-to really anywhere, but like he's shown that he can quarterback a power play too. Like we've talked about this again. You already have Booyam, like you just drafted him. So again, like second power play, but like you're gonna be able to lean on him offensively. And I mean, when you look at, I mean, even just taking this year, there's like a couple defensemen that have put up any offense in Minnesota. So the fact that you can like rely on a guy like Jiricek to give you some secondary offense from the back end, you know, again, like he's super skilled as far as like breaking the puck out. He's got a really good first pass. It's really hard to forecheck despite the fact that he's not the greatest skater in the world. And when he decides to be physical, he can fucking kill guys. So he is a very physical, big, probably number 3, 4 that gives you good offense. Well, you don't really need to like force him to do a ton of the defensive duties that like he's been struggling with so far. I think you also just give him like, you have more time to work with him on that part of the game too. So, I mean, he looks to be a second pair guy who's going to give you good offense, and there should be room to grow defensively, at least like becoming significantly better than he's been so far. Again, it's also weird when he's just like sitting in the press box for weeks, sitting him back down to Cleveland, maybe giving him one NHL game, setting him back down, calling him up just in the press box again. So he hasn't really, this year specifically, he hasn't really had a great opportunity to like get any kind of momentum whatsoever as far as like ice time goes. But I mean, like watching him playing in his draft year and the year before in the Czech Republic in that pro league, he was dynamic offensively and like physical to the point where it was also becoming a concern where it was like the decision making here. He's like, let me go decapitate this guy while we're up 5 with 2 seconds left in the game. I'm gonna baseball swing this guy in the face. And it was just like, this kid's 17. It's like he's just doing that on the ice, playing pro hockey in Czechia. That's nuts. But again, it's a really good fit in Minnesota, given the fact he's not going to have to be like the go-to D-man really in any of their situations. He can just really thrive, not having to go up against top lines, being able to be given a pretty significant leash offensively, and you buy yourself time to work on him on the defensive stuff. So again, it is the perfect fit as far as if he's going to get traded out of Columbus. Like Minnesota was the spot that made the most sense. And again, in terms of like quantity, yeah, they may have given up a lot, but like you didn't give up any of your top prospects as far as like recently drafted guys.
Yeah.
1 first-round pick in 25 and like 3 in 2027. Like not a crazy price to pay. It's a bad return on investment if you're Columbus. Like that's a bad, like, especially again the fact they turned down better offers. Like that's just crazy to me.
Yeah. So,
and like think about it too. At this point, the first round pick isn't going to be very high. Like you're not sniffing 6th overall.
That is the hope. But the one thing we got to talk about on that, and again, I already carved LaPanta on Fellowship of the Rink for his take on Thanksgiving food. Basically, that everyone hates it. Otherwise, they'd have it more than once a year. I wanted to rip my non-existent hair out, my facial hair. I wanted to rip out. But he made a good.
Wait, that was his take?
Yeah, that was his take. Yeah, no, he said if people liked turkey and stuffing so much, they'd have it more than once a year. I'm like, I'm not okay with this. But he and Russo did a pretty good deep dive on just the whole trade, obviously, and he brought up the point that while it will be a late first-round pick, you're still going to go into this year's trade deadline without a first for this year. If Billy feels like this is a team that can like go deep and wants to add, are they now in a spot where they really are going to have a hard time being able to bring an asset, barring like anything with the salary cap? Obviously, like we don't know how LTIR is going to play out. We don't know if we're going to have enough cap space to be real adders, but are we kind of stuck now with what we've got for this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's entirely possible. I'm sure when you look at what they probably we're going to need to add the deadline. You're probably like trying to find some like scoring in your bottom 6 or so maybe, but like now with like the injuries, now you're also concerned on that front. There's been so many including Erickson Ek now week to week.
That's the one I was going to touch on.
Yeah, because I mean at this point
there's a pretty obvious redundancy that you can add to basically be your backup Ek, right?
Right, yeah.
That a lot of people are upset is on one of the rosters we're going to be talking about later in the show.
Yeah. But I mean, obviously not having the first, you're obviously handcuffing yourself a little bit. But I mean, just like looking at the roster in general, I would love, like, if you injected Billy G with True Serum, I would love to know what his actual expectations were coming into this season for this roster. Because I mean, it's also crazy, by the way, that the one quote unquote big signing they made has like, I think 3 points? Not even? Does he still have 1 point?
I love too that not only are most people like really struggling with Trennan's name and adding the in, he's Trennan in. Apparently it's not Trennan either. Apparently it's Trenyan.
Trenyan, yeah. He has 1 assist in 25 games, and they're in first place in the NHL. Like, and they've been riddled with injuries already. Like, it's this has been not weird, wild, but like,
oh, it's weird.
Again, the one legit signing that they made has 1 assist in 25 games and 0 goals, and they're in first place in the NHL after losing. Like, this is the second time they're going to be without Erickson Ek. Brodin's out for who knows how long. Zuccarello's out.
What was
they're missing so many guys.
Hang on, what was the exact quote from I have it written
Middleton
somewhere.
Middleton went on Chicklets. It was like his back's gone.
Yeah, Brodin's back is gone. Like, what?
What does that mean?
I also loved I don't know if this is actually a thing or if he was just like pulling this off the cuff trying to be funny, but he said that Boldy's nickname is 7-Eleven because if you ask him, he's always open.
Oh my God.
That's incredible.
Yeah, well, we have more to talk about with Jake Middleton later, but
yeah, way more. But so yeah, so like I just thought it warranted discussion.
Yeah, but like I'm so perplexed by the Minnesota Wild start and where they're at. That
do you believe it?
So here's where I've adjusted my take. I am at the point now where I'm kind of wondering if there are just almost no truly elite teams in the NHL this season. Like, because we've seen teams get real hot and then, like, maybe it's thanks to the schedule or, like, but when they go cold, like, it is, like, they look, I mean, look at the fucking New York Rangers right now. It's insane. Like, Winnipeg's not, I mean, part of that, without Ehlers, so, like, maybe that's, they still have, like, probably the best goalie on the planet. But, like, I just wonder if this year there really isn't a whole lot of truly elite teams. So I still think, like, do I think they're going to finish first? Probably not. Feels more likely 2 or 3, but
I wasn't even asking that. My real question is, have you seen enough roughly a fourth of the way through the season to actually believe that this is a team that's going to make it past the first round?
Yeah, I think I could see this team being a team.
I didn't ask if you can see it. I asked if you think they will. Again, it's early. Like, basically, my point is, going off what you said, like, I haven't seen enough yet. I'm not saying that they can't. They're far from proving to me that they can. And the biggest piece is, like you asked before, truth serum to Billy. What's this team going to do this year? The reason that they're doing what they're doing is a guy that he tried all summer to shop and actually had a deal in place to get him sent off, and the deal got shut down. Like, come on.
Right.
So no, I don't think Billy saw this coming.
Right.
And it's awesome. I'm glad Gustafson's doing this. You and I were both Gustafson supporters. I don't think either of us thought he would be this good, but like we thought that he was a legit number one that could come back in and resume form from 2 years ago rather than last year. But he has been a showstopper. He has been huge. Him and Kaprizov are pretty much like, there's a lot of other people playing well, but those are the two. That's it.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah, that's funny too if you think about it. And like it's easy to say this now that it's panning out this way, but like it was like, hey, if this team's going to make any noise, why? It would be like I was like, well, Kaprizov's going to have like a Hart-esque season, and then Gustafson needs to be 2 years ago. Gustafson possibly better. like oh shit, that's actually happening now. Like this is the one, the two things that had to happen.
We need Trenyon to put up 1 point.
1 assist in 25 games. It's fucking crazy.
It's impressive.
But
it's pretty good.
That line though, like it's the case. It's like, is that a case for or against analytics where it's like they're fucking like underlying numbers at 5-on-5 are ridiculous.
Dude,
they are giving up absolutely nothing. And they're like getting offensively, but they're not converting fuck all. But I mean, we'll see what the next few
note later on that you reminded me of.
We'll see what the next few games look like, though. I mean, I gotta pull up the practice lines from today.
The first line looked really good.
Yep, and then the second line, Foligno, Hartman, Johansson. Third line of Shore, Goudreau, and Trenyon. Fourth line of Boyd, Huzendorf, and Jones. Like, oh boy. We'll see what it looks like these next few games here. Again, Gustafson still healthy. Kaprizov still healthy, which is basically how we're here. So, like,
question, because I might be on the wrong side of this one, but our boy Micheletti in the group chat said something that makes sense, and I think most people would agree with. I strongly disagree with. He said, "Thank God we play the Ducks." I'm on the opposite side where, like, if we're going to have a bunch of people in that aren't supposed to be part of it, I almost want it to be up against, like, the team that you're chalking as a potential loss. Let them, like, get their licks in, get some experience. I don't want to have a depleted lineup against the Ducks because you can't afford to lose to the Ducks, right?
That looks
I want my roster and I want to mop them and move on. I think most people would probably agree with Micheletti, but I stand on the opposite side. What do you say?
I'd probably I don't know if I even really have like a strong opinion one way or the other. Like, I think.
All right, you're going to take the political.
Anyone on that, anyone that like makes the argument for or against, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I guess.
It's waffling, yeah.
But yeah, no. I think I do kind of land on the fact that it's just like, yeah, it looks bad either way if you lose to the Ducks, no matter what. So like, might as well just let the big dogs get their licks in. Yeah.
But yeah, that's not like a ridiculous take by him. Like, I'm not like calling shots on Micheletti at all. It's more just like, it's actually an interesting point. Like, do you want to hope to get past the bad team when you're depleted, or do you want to make sure you get the win against the bad team and take your licks from a good team and actually get some good experience out of it? I don't know. I can see either one. Okay. I think next topic here, Z, is for our buddies, MNW Prospects, MNW Young Guns.
What is your name? What is your fucking name? Who are you?
Topic du jour, which is topic of the day.
Is it?
We're talking Calder Trophy race. Okay, someone didn't pick up the Dumb and Dumber reference. Disappointing you.
Sorry.
Soup du jour. What's that? It's the soup of the day. Sounds good. I'll have that.
Fuck.
Yeah. All right, we're talking Calder Trophy candidates. They gave us their top 5 and gave some notes here, Z. Before we go through theirs, because I'll kind of bring them up as we talk about each one and say where they're ranked. But for you right now, like, do you have a clear-cut leader in the clubhouse for who you would pick as Calder if the season ended today?
I mean, it depends. So I could go back and forth, just
Jason
giving
Robertson.
this a little bit of time.
What was it? Fucking J-Bro?
J-Rob.
J-Rob? Fucking, that was so weird.
It really
but I
threw
mean,
me for a loop.
at this point, just given, and yes, he's missed some time, so he's played less hockey than the other guys, but like Celebrini, what he's doing on that fucking dog shit Sharks team. And when you factor in, like, Will Smith, also a rookie, took a very long time to look like he even belonged in the NHL at this point. Celebrini's like right at a point per game. The goals that he's scoring are outrageous. Like on the power play, he's throwing backdoor tap-ins. Like he's doing a little bit of everything, but like that shot is absolutely absurd. But he already looks like a guy that not only belongs in the NHL, but is a legit impact top of your lineup guy. He is going to be fucking unbelievable in the NHL for years and years to come. Like, he is ridiculous. He gives you, again, like, he doesn't.
My hot
the
take
big reason.
week,
oh, there you go.
I said he's going to have a better career than Bedard.
Oh, boy.
I know you don't agree. Do you think that that's, like, not is it possible? Because it's obviously possible, but, like, percentage chance you think that he could match or exceed Bedard?
I
forgot you hate math.
Match probably like 50-50. Like Bedard's just going to put up video game numbers. Like regardless, Celebrini is going to give you the two-way all-around play. Like you're going to be able to have
play.
Him on the
he empowers his line mates. Like he's setting guys up. Bedard, like give him the puck and let him rip it. Let him go solo action. Like yes, it's kind of the Gretzky Lemieux debate. Except this is the rare time where I'm going to lean Gretzky.
Yeah. So like, and the thing with Bedard is, and it's funny because it's Chicago. It's kind of the same. So like this is like the big argument where it's like Patrick Kane put up video game numbers his entire career in Chicago. And then you ask anyone that looks like the underlying numbers is like, oh, he's fucking terrible, especially defensively. And like basically, and it's like, okay, I don't give a fuck. Like this guy's like putting up 3 points per game. Don't care. And like Bedard's just going to do that. I mean, even on this,
plus minus.
But I mean, even on this dog shit Chicago team, like he started off putting up crazy numbers. Even when he's not putting up numbers, the scoring chances he's generating by himself, the amount of times he's already like rang the crossbar off the post, whatever, like he's going to put up video game numbers in his career. Celebrini is going to give you probably pretty close to possibly. Actually, he's going to give you like point per game, maybe over point per game numbers, but he's also giving the two-way play. He's like super, like every part of his game is, and this is why he went first overall. Obviously, like it's just NH. Like he is. If you created an NHL player in the lab, the only difference would be he might be like 6'2" versus 6 foot. Like it's like it's what he does and the way he approaches the game and his style is just like. He fits the NHL now, and he also fits the mold of like an NHL player moving forward. That's going to be at the top of your lineup. So, like what Celebrini is doing already is absolutely ridiculous. You know, that's why I still, regardless of the numbers, like how many games, like I think it's only off by like, I think like what he's played maybe 7 or 8 fewer than Mitchkov, maybe I don't even know. But I also don't care. Like the fact that he's almost at a point per game, or is he at a point per game now? On that San Jose Sharks team is crazy.
Yeah. And important note, because we're not talking World Juniors for this episode, but did you notice who's not on the Team USA preliminary roster? He's he shares a name with a former rapper. Rappist.
Oh God. I always hate. I don't know why. I'm like, fuck. Every time I hear it.
Will Smith is not part of the preliminary roster, which they can change their mind at any point, but like probably not going. But yeah, I figured you and I were going to be on the same page. Celebrini is absolutely my number one right now. And that's not to say like there's 4 other guys on their list that I think are absolutely like warranting being in the same type of discussion. But Celebrini is my number one. The boys at MNW Prospects, MNW Young Guns, what's your name? They have Macklin Celebrini 5. The 2024 number 1 overall pick looks as advertised when he has been healthy. He's at the time that they sent this to me, because we were going to record on Monday, so there's a couple days off, but we'll go with it. He's at 14 points, 8 goals, 6 assists in 15 games. 12 of 14 points have come at even strength. He's 3rd in points by rookies, and that's with time missed. He drives offense for San Jose and should see stats jump with his 1948 minutes a game. With health, we expect him to jump up and really contend with Mishkov for that number 1 spot and maybe even overtake him. It'll be a fun race to watch with so many quality rookies again. We don't really see anyone else contending with the 5 players that they've included on their list at the moment. Z, who is your number 2? And it doesn't have to be off of their list of 5, but I imagine that most of your picks are going to at least exist on this list.
Yeah. I go back and forth between, and I think I'm going to stick. I'll go Michkov.
Okay.
Especially just watching what he's done since getting scratched. I mean, like, he's incredible. And like, again, the big thing that was making teams nervous outside of the whole Russia thing was the fact that he's a winger that's like 5'9", not crazy foot speed, or actually pretty non-existent foot speed, but like the offensive upside was why he was like looked at before the Russia thing happened as like alongside Bedard. And again, specifically what he's done since he got scratched, like he is a like, but I think he's just under a point per game at this point. And I mean, probably like the big reason, like not just the fact that he's putting up numbers, but like in big spots, like in overtime, tying up games at the end of the 3rd period. Like he is
sitting in the
like,
press box
dragging.
for a couple games. Only guy on this list that's been health bombed. I don't know.
Yeah.
God bless.
But I think what's he at now? 20 points.
Yeah, when they wrote this,
19 points in 3.
Oh, is that current? Because they sent me on Monday.
Yeah, no. Well, they're playing right now. They're playing Florida. But I mean, he's second on the Flyers in scoring with 19.
That's bad. He should be first.
Well, Konechny's got 30.
Konechny's doing good. Yeah.
But I mean, again, he's just like producing offense in big moments. He just looks like a dynamic winger, and he's scoring. So I put him at number 2. And like at this point, Philly's in that second wild card spot for now. The games played discrepancy in like the East is crazy thanks to that hurricane that like made like Tampa miss games, Carolina miss games. Like the Bruins have played 5 more games than Tampa. Like that's crazy to me. I always hate when there's like more than 2. Like if no point should a team have played more than like 2 games more than any other team.
What if they just didn't make them up?
They're like, nah, fuck it, you're done. Okay. Let's just give the other guys a chance. All right. Like the Bruins. But yeah, no, anyways, either way, I'm putting Michkov at 2.
All right.
Again, same thing with the Celebrini. It's like, how are you at a point, almost at a point per game on such a fucking terrible hockey team? It's impressive.
It is. Yeah. They had Mishkov at 1. Said he's had an incredible start to the season with 19 points, 9 plus 10 in 23 games for the Flyers, which apparently is still current. He has overtime game-winning goals, 3 of them. Wow. He's on pace to break the rookie record of overtime goals set by Gostisbehere with 4 for the team. And he leads all rookies in points. He has 5 multi-point games and looks like the front runner at the moment. He's also their front runner. Okay. who is your number 3? I imagine I know your answer, but actually, no, I don't know if I know your answer.
No, the next 3 I honestly could go in any order. Like I might wake up
It's
tomorrow
tough.
and like I might like fucking call you first, like, hey, edit the episode. Isha, cut it. Isha,
For the
cut it.
first time ever, Isha,
For the
edit
first time
request.
ever. If you reverse, if you cut it, I will. If you don't cut it, I'll kill you. That's what you say. All right, I'll unalive you. Oh no, this is fine. We're not live. We're good.
No, it's gonna still go on YouTube.
Well, yeah, but that's easy to like. It's not like a irreversible mistake, you know.
Sure.
I think.
So I'm sorry. So when we've been live, that's been you holding back and trying to be polished. Got it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
like,
good to know.
Good.
Good lord! All right, who are we going with for 3?
I think I'm gonna go Dustin Wolf.
Okay.
In Calgary, he's probably the only reason that they're a wild card team too at this point. Like after Mantha got hurt, it was like Mantha started off so hot there, looked incredible. Then he gets hurt, obviously, and I mean, like, well, him and what's his face, Rasmus Anderson, I guess. But what he's been doing is crazy, and like such a different goalie. Like he's a 5'10", like light goaltender, which you just don't see a whole lot of anymore in the NHL. Like most of the time, they're just like fucking like Ben Bishop looking motherfucker. But I mean, at this point, he's played 13 games, or no, I think he played more now. I gotta pull up my new. Oh no, he has played 13. 8.41 with a 2.59 and a 9.18. I think he's among goalies who have had like at least 10 starts. Like he's like top 5 in even strength, save percentage. I mean, he's top 10 in just overall save percentage in the NHL. Like, well, again, amongst for goalies that have played, I think it's or started at least 10 games, I think. But I mean, he also has 2 assists, by the way, which that rules. I love that. That rocks. Big fan. But
how many goals do you have? Loser.
Not as many as Philip.
Dude, I gotta stop you here because I know you're on the Nooner train with me. I just pulled out a Nooner from like a mix pack that my wife brought with her for a girls' weekend and then had leftovers. And I just pulled one out and took a sip, like unknowingly. I've never had grapefruit before, and it was a little jarring.
I actually like the grapefruits. I don't mind them.
It's not even that I dislike it. I definitely like other ones more, but it's the only one that's got more of that sour tinge to it, and it just like gave a little shock to the system when I was expecting something sweet.
anytime you unexpectedly get a grapefruit taste, like whoa, hey, all right, so it's almost like a smelling salt.
I knew it. That's where I was gonna go too. It's a tasting salt.
Dude, I think it was a couple weeks ago, or maybe I saw the video a couple weeks ago. I watched Curtis McDermott do the most insane smelling salt pull I've ever seen in my life.
Worse than Revo?
Oh, it was literally like he covered up. Well, not as funny though as Brandon Duhaime fucking taking out his stick and pretended to chop up the smelling salt like it was cocaine. That was outrageous.
I don't recall this.
He was literally like in a stick, and he was doing.
Can you get me that video?
Yeah, I think I did post. I should be able to find it.
All right,
it's insane.
Right, that's a side thing for you. You need to get me that video before you come here. That's awesome. Whew. Okay.
But either way, long story short, I'm going Dustin Wolf at 3. Especially just given the fact that it's the goaltending position, he's got really good numbers, like overall, not just like for a rookie, but overall in the NHL on a team that shouldn't be where they're at. Like we were shitting on them, possibly being like they might finish last. This team sucks. And he is pretty much the reason. Him and Anderson are probably the reason that like they're in a wild card spot as we speak.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, you hit on a lot of their points, but really just he is their best player right now, like period. And it is like we knew that he was like an interesting guy coming in and one to watch, but we just thought the team was so bad that it was going to hurt him. But if he did well, it thrusts him to the top of the list, right? And so far, pretty much following their list, besides us taking their number 5, Celebrini, and plopping them to the front, they had Dustin Wolf at number 2. Now we got to figure out who's your 4 and 5. because I know you have an affection for both the players left on their list, and maybe you've got someone that's not on their list.
I should probably pull their list up again.
No,
Okay. Same five.
Okay.
I think Logan Stankoven for me is just gonna beat out the other guy that we'll mention in a second for fourth. The only before, like probably up until a couple of weeks ago, I would have had him higher, but he's just been on the score sheet obviously less as of late. Hasn't scored as much, but he's still got 16 points in 23 games, which like when you look at Dallas's overall numbers, it's foul. I mean, like Jason Robertson's 7th in scoring on that team, or well, I think tied for 5th. There's a bunch of guys with 15. But I mean,
J-Rob.
He's got 16 and 23, and like they're just getting scoring from all over the place. Like Duchesne's been a beast. Sagan, unfortunately, he's getting another surgery. He's going to be out long term. That sucks. I hate the fact that he just keeps getting these ridiculous injuries and getting major surgeries, but whatever. But again, like Stankoven, it was like pretty surprising how well he immediately fit in the NHL. Like never looked out of place at any point last year. And I mean, we're seeing more growth in his game too with the defensive side. Again, as an undersized guy on a really fucking good Dallas team. That's like underperformed to start the year, obviously. Like I think we probably were expecting a little bit more, but that's what happens when you fucking do the weirdest shit in the offseason, I guess.
They're gonna finish one. They're gonna finish one. We know they are.
They're gonna go on a terrifying heater at some point here. I'm very confident in that, especially if they do the Malkin thing, dude. If they bring in Malkin.
Cam Robinson coming with the heat, saying that there's whispers about Malkin ending up in Dallas. And that'd be so conflicting for me because I already have like a weird complex with Dallas where like I've been riding the Dallas hype train for several years now. I don't like Dallas like as a team, but it's kind of like Tampa was for a long time where like I wasn't a Tampa fan at all, but they had so many guys on the team that I was like a legitimate fan of. Like I love a lot of the players on the Stars. There's plenty of them that I hate and think are pieces of shit, but like there's a lot of guys in this team that I really like. And if they added one of my favorite players of all time to their team, I'd be in a real tough spot. Like I'd kind of loosely be cheering for them. So I kind of hope he doesn't end up there. Although can you imagine 3-year Super League leaving the NHL with one more cup than Sid?
That would be insane.
That would actually kind of rock. That would kind of rock.
Sad.
More on that later, but you're gonna follow their list exactly, except we both put Celebrini to the front of the list instead of 5th. Logan Stankoven, the short king, has been really good, putting up. You already mentioned their points. He could shoot up further if the minutes go up and his power play 1 role stays as is. You were the highest on coming into the season too.
Yeah, and that's the thing. He's got 16 points, and 13 of those are even strength, which is the most among any rookie. 3 of his 4 goals are game winners. Like, so he's again the points that he's produced are legit, big time points, big time goals, obviously. And I mean, again, like Dallas has been weird overall. So if he gets more on the power play. Again, as we were saying, they're going to go on a heater eventually here. So, and he's going to be a big part of that. But, I think he's played. I'm trying to pull it up. Oh, yeah, he's got 2 more points this year than he had all of last year in 1 fewer game. So, he's obviously making some nice gains in all areas of his game.
Yeah. So, essentially, you hate anyone that plays for the Montreal Canadiens and the BU Terriers. Lane Hudson comes in at number 5 for you.
Yeah, Lane Hudson in 5 of 5. Side note on Montreal, so good to see Patrick Laine back in the lineup. And an absolute that shot is such a joke. Like, I love when he just like I thought he was going to go for that one-timer, and he was like, nope, I'm going to let you get set. And when he just lets that wrister go from the parking lot, it is unbelievable the amount of fucking power that he gets behind it. Like, he's incredible. Like, that shot is just such a joke. So, but very happy to see him, back in back in games, and I mean immediate impact. And I think he's going to be probably pretty happy in Montreal, hopefully. So that was just good to see. But like Lane Hudson, 16 assists in 25 games, 0 goals. Love that. That rules. And I mean, he started off looking all right defensively. Lately, the Canadians in general have just been getting caved in, and like he's been on the receiving end of just like some brutal defensive assignments. So I think he's like a -12 maybe. But either way, he's playing big minutes. He's third on their team in scoring. He like the power play, like he is so fun to watch. Just like the mobility, how agile he is, how he can like walk a blue line under pressure, like. That I think his like heart rate slows down when he's got like pressure. Like it's unbelievable how he can just walk around guys and can't.
That's the thing.
He's incredible.
That's the thing that I was really going to call out. Like there's better guys in the league, sure. Like he's not projecting to become Quinn Hughes or Cale Makar, but like I don't think that there's anyone that's got more ice in their veins, and he literally just like gives 0 fucks. There's no concern. He's playing with people on the blue line, and he does not like. There is no worry. And maybe at some point that'll be a problem. Maybe he needs to worry a little bit, but like it looks so calm. It's crazy to me.
And like I don't even want to necessarily use like the -12 against him because again, like third on the team in scoring, but also on a very bad Montreal Canadiens team, he's playing 23 minutes a night. Like
23 minutes a night without being CP1 for a lot of that,
which
right?
is crazy.
That's a lot. Now
he's just such a fun player to watch.
A negative for him, he's on pace for 1 less point than Brock Faber. Brock Faber couldn't win the Calder being like an established veteran defenseman as a rookie.
Yeah, I know.
Lane Hudson doesn't have that defense on his side, so I don't think he's vying for the Calder unless he ups the points a little bit and gets on the PP1.
Yeah, I mean, being a defenseman on the Montreal Canadiens, so it's going to be quite the task to end up as like the Calder winner. So, but I mean, again, like I knew he would just looking at that roster, he was always going to get like good amount of ice time. He was going to get offensive looks, but the fact that he's got 16 assists and he's playing 23 minutes a night is insane.
Dude, the note from Baki and Pavel is great too. At the very end, they say he is, the -11 when they did it. You said -12 now, but he's on a very bad defensive team in Montreal. Plus, Bedard won it last year with a -44. So that stat is more useless than not.
Had to throw that in there. They couldn't help themselves.
Stick it in, twist. It's perfect.
You know that while they were typing that, they're like the little smirk on their face. Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, everyone, again, as always, reminder to go check out either MNW Prospects or MNW Young Guns on on Facebook and the X/Twitter machine. Last one here, Z, and before we get into it, I gotta call out a really good beer that Timmy Johnson hooked me up with today. It's called Doom Scrolling, which is basically like I feel like both of our lives.
Yeah.
Delicious IPA, and you can't really see it. It's tough like from here, but it's like a pretty abstract graphic that like here you can see it's just like someone with the widest eyes behind a cell phone. Great can, great beer. We'll definitely be stopping in there for a couple when you're out here to visit.
1 week away.
It's supposedly still haven't bought a flight.
Came up quick.
Yeah. Let's talk Four Nations. People are angry, which we kind of expected. But let's just go through the 4 teams and just kind of talk about like the highlights. Who do you think was snubbed? Who do you think got in that maybe shouldn't have? And we'll start with the team that it's weird. Probably the best team on paper that Finland has had, except we've talked about this ad nauseum, Z. Their blue line's terrible. It's bad. It's really bad.
Yeah.
Tell me I'm wrong. Like, there's been people that have like argued with me on Twitter saying like, this is like the best blue line they've ever had. I'm like, what are you looking at? Like, yes, Heiskanen's the best defenseman they've ever had. there's 5 other guys that have to play the game.
Yeah.
They've got Olimata projected to be his pairing mate. Come on.
Yeah, and I mean the fact that like their extra on the back end is Yanni Hakanpää. I don't think he's played a game yet, and they weren't even sure he was going to play at all this year. Which I mean, by the way, we'll have a similar type of discussion when we bring up Sweden. But like, yeah, I mean, the one thing that you can say is like Lindell has just gotten better defensively. Even Ristolainen's made big time like steps forward in his defensive game, like since getting to Philly. But I mean, it's pretty much like, hey, we might be icing Miro Heiskanen for like 38 minutes a night here, and Dallas will be also losing their mind, probably watching that. And I mean, yeah, they'll be okay, but as far as like those post forward teams, they are significantly fourth.
Well, but I would say with goaltending and with the forward group, like they're not really far off. Like it's the blue line that does it for me. The blue line is their problem. Outside of that, they've actually got like a surprisingly good team. Yeah. Although it's weird that in their depth chart here, they've got Mikael Granlund on the first line. It's a little jarring for me. I know he's had a solid year. It's just funny to me.
Yeah, especially when like, I mean, I'm looking at the Athletics. Is that what you have up?
Yeah.
And I mean, Teravainen's sitting right there. Patrick Laine likes playing left wing.
It's very weird.
Fucking Granlund. Well, Granlund's been good this year for San Jose. He's put up good numbers.
Well, whenever he's played for a team that I care about, he's not good enough. So
I still that fucking. I'm not gonna bring it up. Sorry.
Yeah.
The Pittsburgh thing is just crazy.
I'm just glad Hall of Famer got on for you.
That was the most important thing that happened.
That end line, eh? End line, eh?
Yeah, hell yeah. But anytime that something good happens involving the Hall of Famer, I'm having at least an okay day. It turns my day around if I'm having a bad one. So shout out the Hall of Famer for getting on. And that fourth line that they have, again, this is just the Athletic. Who knows what the lines are actually going to look like? But
sure,
the Hall of Famer with Lundell and Luostarinen, that could be a pain in the fucking.
Athletic doesn't have that. They've got him as the fifth, the odd man out.
Oh, so we definitely have different articles up then.
Oh, I literally have the Athletic article that says Finland announces roster for 4 nations. Snubs, surprises, and expectations, and it's got like the whole depth chart.
Yeah, I've got the ranking the 4 nation face-off roster stuff. Okay.
Oh, okay, fair enough. So maybe it's different then. Whatever, doesn't matter. But I think this is the one roster where like I don't think there's any snubs or surprises. Like this is kind of what you expected.
Yeah, nothing really jumped out that I was like, what? So
yep. So yeah, we can kind of move off them pretty quick. But I will say their depth down the middle is freaking insane. You got Sasha Barkov, Sebastian Aho, not the defenseman, Rupe Hintz, Anton Lundell, and you got Hall of Famer if you need him. That's an awesome center lineup.
Yeah. And I mean, you've got other guys in there that have played center before, which is like, this will come up when we talk about.
Yeah, Patrick Laine.
He can play anywhere. Goal, I don't know. Yeah,
he played center. He did
wherever he wants to.
All right. Next up, I think we got to go with Sweden. This is the roster that I would say is like very, very balanced. Like it's just like
it's classic roster. Sweden. It's just like I mean, we talk about this with the World Juniors, with the U18s, with like any event. Like they have such a well balanced lineup, like up and down, where you've got like the big dogs, but like their depth is really, really good too. And there's a bunch of good two-way players.
Our boy Carlo, who jumped on for a little bit of our draft coverage this year, covers Vegas largely, but he all NHL guy. He basically said his dream scenario is that William Karlsson scores a goal that's assisted by Erik Karlsson and Leo Carlsson.
yeah. That's good.
But this is I'm trying to think here, man. Like, I don't think there's any crazy snubs, especially based on how people are currently playing. The one that I think you could definitely like argue for would be like a Hampus Lindholm, right? Like maybe
Especially
not
since apparently they don't give a fuck about the injuries.
right.
Lindholm's injury is bad though; it's really bad.
But
so
but the
he's been out.
so he's for sure out. Okay, because I think the reason that Brodeen's on, and I actually talked to Joe about it on our show before the rosters were announced. I'm like, you got to think strategically. It makes sense to have Brodeen as one of your 7 defensemen because you can make changes if someone is legitimately injured. So
Right.
like. You can't add him later, but you can drop him off and add someone else if he's not ready to go. And there's some people that like think he shouldn't have even been in the lineup, and that's insane to me. It makes zero goddamn sense. Literally the only defenseman in the league that can shut down McDavid, and people are going to say he shouldn't be on Team Sweden.
Yeah, I mean, like, in one of the, especially just given the health thing, you can understand the argument as far as like, one of the extras is Rasmus Anderson, who's having the year that he's having in Calgary. And he's just a solid fucking player all around. But
Yeah.
so but it's so like, so this, again, the article that I have up ranking the Four Nations roster, the third pair that they projected is Brodeen and Carlson. And like, it's so funny because of course, like it's as Brodeen has like a bad injury, and this is like post Achilles Erik Karlsson, where I was like, can you imagine if they were both healthy
At
and
the
like
top form.
the skating? They would be on the ice for 40 minutes. They would be
would literally
the take
like
shot minus the killing people.
In tandem, they would be doing reverse figure eights around people.
Carlson's packing a lip. Karlsson has an absolute fucking hammer in his mouth.
Dude, I love too that like Middleton is obsessed with him.
Yeah,
Rightfully so. Like he owes the guy a lot, but he's like, yeah, I don't know why people think he's not good because fucking is. But yeah, we got 3 Minnesota guys on the team. We got Eck, Brodeen, and Gustafsson, 2 of which probably won't play.
2 of them people are really going to be pissed if they actually end up playing because they're injured. I mean, like, whatever. Ericsson's week to week, I guess. But even so, like, he's had a few injuries this year, so it's like, and that one looks scary. I don't know what it is. I didn't actually look into it today, but like the one last night, or was it 2 nights ago? It was a weird play that he ended up just like going right and like did not look good. Yeah, he was also playing like an absolute psycho the other night.
Sounds like a lot of nights.
That was also. It's always good to remember that the Vancouver fans are absolutely insane. The amount of anger and like the weirdest replies when I posted the video of Eriksson just deleting Kiefer Sherwood. I should actually just like post all of them. They're insane. Like the replies that I was getting. But anyways, we can move on.
Well, so 2 things I need to touch on. There is actually a set of players that I would have liked to see on this lineup over a couple others. They're teammates. They're both really young. It's Zetterlund and Eklund. I think that these are guys that have a chance to be on the Olympic squad in a year. Definitely long-term, like going to be part of the Swedish stuff. I just don't think they've got like the youth tapped into on here outside of Leo Carlsson. Like, you know what I mean? Like it feels like you'd want to have some younger guys for a tournament like this, especially if you're going to have an extra forward. Like I would have had them over Arvidsson for sure. And like, I think Gus Nyquist is a good player. He hasn't been a good player this year.
Yeah.
But the one that hand up, I'm an idiot, I guess. There is a player on this roster who I very, very much enjoy that I didn't know was Swedish. Take a guess. We'll see if you can remember which Swedes I've talked about. So there's actually a lot that I like, but this is one that like
Jesper Bratt?
No.
I was just going off the name. Just doesn't sound. Actually, Jesper, I'm an idiot.
Adrian Kempe.
Oh, I was gonna bring up him too.
I had no idea that he was Swedish. For whatever reason, Adrian Kempe just doesn't scream Sweden to me. And being a stud, like no shit goal scorer doesn't scream Sweden to me either.
I am obsessed with the fact, because he's got the same vibe. Him and Nylander hanging out is going to be so funny. The two most negative 87 give a fuck meter level guys that are just absolutely filthy at hockey. I love that they're both
favorite Swedes, apparently. Those are my two favorite Swedes.
Fucking Kempe still has one of my favorites, like Stellies from like I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago. Honestly, I don't remember where they might have been, like in Columbus. Honestly, like he scored and just didn't take a single stride, just like glided with his stick up like just barely over his shoulder, staring at the fans, and it was like 10 seconds where he was just like staring at everyone, no smile, no nothing, just staring at everybody, and I was like, that rocks. He's the coolest guy in the world. That
rocks pretty hard. Hard.
But the Eklund thing specifically, like I just pulled up his numbers this year. Like 23 in 27 is, I would have liked to see him over, like you said, like Nyquist was one guy.
Or Arvidsson.
Or Arvidsson, right? He definitely could have found his way onto this roster for sure. It's also just nice seeing him really pop off this year.
Dude, Slippery Pete's the best.
Dude, there have been a lot of people talking about, like, hopefully after like a tournament like this, like it's just going to be whatever. It's going to be fun. You're playing with like the best players in kind of from your own country or whatever. Like you hopefully take some momentum into like back in the season, especially for guys that are like struggling or whatever. Like the whole, like this Zibanejad fall off has been insane. Like, have you watched Rangers recently? Like he is, and like the fans are going nuts. Like everyone's like, oh, this is horrific.
Dude. They have Panarin playing well, and they have whoever's playing on Panarin's line also playing well.
yeah. I actually want to pull up his actual numbers this year, but like it's like I was watching.
I will say though, dude,
they were playing the Canadians the other night, and he scored, and I was like, he just still looks like. Ugh.
So I was in the minority too, where like I did not like the contract they gave him when they gave it to him. Not because he's not a good player, because he's a fantastic fucking player when he's on his game. He is a very hot and cold player. Like on a crazy level at times. Like he can go on a 10-game heater and then he can go on a 10-game absolute fucking skunker. Like,
yeah, I mean, he's a nightmare defensively.
But we've already talked about this in the Calder discussion. Like dashes don't mean anything.
It's a good point.
Dashes are forever.
Yeah, I mean, like almost half his points his whole career have been like power play, like whatever. Either way, I'm sure that's one guy that, like, if there's any truth behind the idea that like maybe this will give guys momentum as they come back to playing with their teams in the NHL again, like that's one guy, especially like the Rangers are gonna desperately.
There's a lot of guys though that could use that, like him, your boy Elias Lindholm, Elias Pettersson. Like there's some guys that could use a little bolt. Yeah, Nyquist, Arvidsson, Carlson, the defensive Carlson. Sorry.
Yeah,
it's interesting. But okay, let's move on to the one that everyone wants to talk about, and the one that probably has the most controversy around it, per usual. Team Canada. This is the fun one.
Yeah, I mean, I probably got them firmly in second behind the U.S. Like,
I wouldn't say firmly. I think them and Sweden are pretty interesting comparables.
Yeah,
mostly because of the goaltending discrepancy. Like, you can't make up for that.
It's crazy how they
What's crazy to me is you could have put a gun to my head and said, you need to give me 3 goalies and at least 2 of them need to be on this roster, and I would have been terrified to give an answer. Because there was like 6 guys that all had a real chance to be part of this. I actually am kind of surprised Fleury wasn't included. Kind of.
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
honestly,
purely for the vibes and just like what he brings, even like from an off-ice perspective, but also it's 3 fucking goalies. Like,
yeah, the goaltending, the whole thing.
Bennington is slated to be their starter, and that makes me so. If there's a goalie fight at 4 Nations, I'm all in. I will never miss a 4 Nations game again.
Yeah.
Also, Fleury will be like, God fucking damn it.
Yeah.
So what are the ones that stand out to you? Whether it's a player that got in that you're like, what the hell, or a player that got left off that you're like, what the hell?
Well, one of the players that got left off, I was like, oh shit, was Bedard. Honestly, like, especially at an event. Dash? Well, I mean, Don Sweeney's running the show here, and Connor Bedard is 5'8".
Hey. Some people are saying Bedard got snubbed. People like us, we're saying Celebrini got snubbed.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah, it's
I don't love the blue line. Like,
okay. First off,
I don't love it.
You hate minivans, so that's natural.
I do hate him.
Now, hang on though. Did you had to have seen the interaction between Jay Fresh and some NHL players? I was going to bring that up. So Sanheim was the one that really, I feel like that's the one that garnered the most, like, what the fuck? And like, I go back and forth. I get it. Like, he's a solid player. I think he's solid for a third pairing type guy that's going to be like one of your premier penalty killers, like whatever. But the reaction to the Jay Fresh post made me so happy.
Of course. What's his face?
Joel Farabee?
Joel Farabee replied, just goes, watch a game. Unbelievable. It's just so funny.
That's like, honestly, Jay Fresh is fist pumping. He's like, I win. Like, getting an actual NHL player to engage with your analytic opinion means you're doing something right.
Yeah, he did the same thing, except it was like a funny interaction, like not mean. He had like a Calvin DeHaan a couple years ago. But
it's so good.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know.
And the break was like weirder for me, to be honest. I understood it. Like, people knew it was coming, especially because Armstrong's at the helm. But like, I'd rather have Sanheim than Parayko.
Yeah. But like, again, like, just real quick on the Jay Fresh Farabee thing. That's like in the realm of like the really nasty mean. Well, I mean, whatever. Like, nasty, you could maybe not nasty, but like mean.
Is it nasty, or is it
like
mean?
Just I'll go nasty's like another level. I'll go mean. The mean, like, condescending tweets from the like Jay Fresh on Twitter, and then like other like super analytically charged people that like whatever. That was a pretty benign tweet. He's like, am I missing something? Like, what am I missing?
He was like, he was like, huh, that's weird. But he was nice. He's like, yeah, he's had a good year, and like I understand. Like, I'm not saying that he's not good enough, but like, I think there's other people that should have been in over him.
And that's the one that Farabee comes in hot. Watch a game, bro. That was the other thing I wanted to mention. Was like, it was of all of the tweets that he's thrown out there about bad analytic players, like, that was the most benign, non-aggressive one ever. And so that was the one that an NHL guy was like, fuck you.
So I'm disappointed though, because he just like replied back and said, I will never watch a game.
It's kind of funny.
No, it would have been funnier if he's like, bro, you haven't seen my post about Konechny yet.
Yeah.
That would have been the move. And Farabee would have spent the next 20 minutes trying to find this post that doesn't exist, saying that Konechny shouldn't be on the team. That's how you win. That's how you do it.
Fair enough.
Farabee. That was bad. We're moving on. Anything else that stands out to you besides Sanheim, Parayko being kind of the obvious ones, goalies being in blender? I think Chris Johnston's exact quote to us when he was talking about it on Fellowship of the Rink this week was like, you know what the blue line's going to look like for the most part. Forwards, like, yeah, there's always going to be snubs there. Goalies, rip a couple shots and just fucking roll the dice. I don't know. Flip a coin. Something's going to happen.
They were
That's
struggling. They were struggling to think of enough.
Yeah.
Goalies were Sam Montembeau's the extra.
I like the forward group. I do.
Yeah. Well, and finally we're gonna get to watch a line combo of Marchand, McKinnon, Crosby. Like we're finally gonna get to see that happen, which is going to be
gonna rock.
Much fun.
And it's gonna
like
be great.
It's gonna the fact that you've got Nathan McKinnon there as just, he freak of Nate. I don't even, whatever you want to describe him as, but like the last time we had one of these events was the World Cup of Hockey. Was it 2015? And it was Bergeron, Crosby, and Marchand, and they were just doing like ridiculously nasty shit. But then you have McKinnon being McKinnon is like that he was doing what he was doing in the same fucking tournament, like just dancing Lundqvist. That was nuts.
Do you think Marchand will lick Crosby?
He might. They're all the three of them are. That's like the funniest like trio of best friends. It's like it's so funny.
Is Marchand firmly in that group of best friends, or is it like Crosby and McKinnon are best friends and Marchand gets invited a good amount of the time?
I know, like listening to them talk about their group chat, like Marchand is just.
Dude, how about Marchand with Biz?
That was so funny.
Was great.
Of course, and like after the first one, like Duchesne's like, "Hey man, like really good, like glad you're all right." Meanwhile, like 3 hours before that, Marchand was like, "Yeah, that's what it looked like. The guys that beat the wheels off you." Like,
No, I wanted him to be like, "You better not run into me at a restaurant, dude." Like,
so funny. But it was good. Like the first time McKinnon went on Chicklets or whatever, it was so funny listening to him talk about their summer skates and how like insanely competitive it gets. And then he's like, "Hey, Marshy's such a little rat. Like he picks his own fucking team. He's just running around chirping everybody the whole time." He's like, he's such a rat. He's like, "I love him. He's the best, but god damn it." He's like a little motherfucker.
I would do a lot of things to be able to go and hang out and watch that summer skate.
Dude,
hang out at Crosby's cottage for like a couple days. Like I would empty the bank account.
Like specifically the dynamic that like all three of them are fucking lunatics. Psycho.
In very different ways though.
In very, very, very different ways.
Yeah.
But like the element that Marchand brings as the class clown is so funny to me that he's just like this little tiny fucking asshole running around nonstop chirping. It's so funny to me. Meanwhile, McKinnon's chirps like, "I'll fucking kill your whole family." Getting pissed.
And Crosby says nothing, but he's sitting there thinking worse things.
Silent anger.
Saying
he's plotting fucking serial killer shit. Yeah.
He's basically sitting there, and in his head, all you see is the clip of the guy from Office Space who wants a stapler.
Yeah, yeah.
That's Crosby's persona.
Oh shit. You know who it might have been actually one of the biggest omissions though?
Yeah.
On the back end, like Bouchard.
Yeah, but do they need Bouchard?
That's true. That's a good point. McCarr's gonna be out there.
The same thing initially, but you look at the roster, like you're basically saying you're going to take out Shea Theodore, probably.
Right.
Which I wouldn't do. I think there's other guys that would make sense, like whether it's over Parayko and Sanheim. Like, I think Morrissey should be higher in this. Taves McCarr is a lock. It needs to be. And Theodore should be on that second pair. So I just don't think there's a good spot for him. And Ekholm can't be on his team, so that kind of hurts too.
It's always tough with these two. Like, Because I mean, we always want like immediately you just think of like representing your country means like you're one of the whatever the roster size is, that many best players in the country. Like actually, no, they're literally building out a roster,
Dude.
where it's like you can't have like you literally can't bring only the best player. Like it's crazy.
For sure. And for me, the one bummer with Fleury not being included, it would have been so fun for Fleury to get one last lick in on Cam Talbot, as like Talbot's actually having like an undercover, like really solid year yet again. And for Fleury to just yank it out from him, but I guess neither of them got in. So whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. But yeah, this one, I guess like there's really good players like Hyman, Tavares, Scheifele. You mentioned Bedard, Celebrini, even more so than Bedard. But there's just redundancies, and like it's for the first like Canada overthinks with World Junior, but usually with the Olympic teams, it's like, yeah, let's get as much skill in as we possibly can. And I think their bottom six is actually going to be like a lethal, like two-way bottom six. A lot of Lightning players. Shocker.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Weird.
Also, like people are like mad about Hagel being on. Like, I'm sorry, Hagel's been sick.
Hagel's so fucking good.
I'll wave my flag. People got really mad about that
nasty.
trade and said that was like the dumbest thing Tampa did. I loved the trade when it happened, and it's worked out so much better than I even could have imagined. But I was so excited for them when they made that trade. Oh,
he's
so fun there.
Oh my God, they're at intermission against San Jose. They're up. It's second intermission. It's 7-0 Tampa Bay. Oh my God. Hold on. Wait, pull this up. Let's see who's going on.
He's already dead.
I need to know who on the Sharks is like dash 400 tonight. Oh, Zetterland. There you go. You were talking about Zetterland earlier. It's dash 4.
How many Leafs fans are like foaming at the mouth that Marner's on the team and probably going to play with McDavid?
Oh yeah, obviously. It's like
so fun.
It's also funny. Like I never know. Oh, it's 5-0 after the first period. That's good. It's always funny. It's like he does something good, and no, like there will always like it'll be like whatever, like the team account post that he scored a goal and it's like a sick goal, highlight reel, whatever. Yeah. And you will have like 400 Leafs fans like, just a reminder though, he's a bitch. It's like, oh, all right.
I love too that the picture that I got on my article, the one that's like Canada announces for Nations roster, snub, surprises, and expectations. It's a close up of Marner making the weirdest face.
Yeah, of course. Well, you see the kid in
here. Let me see if I can share it with you. Present, share screen. Okay, here it is. I can't really zoom in, but and I got to get rid of the overlay.
Oh hell yeah!
That's such a good picture. Like, why is that the picture? Good. Now, as we transition though out of Canada, I have to point out here that of course Russo made this happen. The one for USA.
Oh yeah. Needed.
Boldy Faber. Here we go. Also, shout out Waggle Golf, crushing it, getting the 1980 Miracle Group to do a collaboration on a ton of apparel that they dropped. And of course, Faber and Boldy were already the poster children. I can't believe I said childs. And models for the new apparel. But all right, Z, let's talk USA because people are big mad. People are big mad.
Well, so this is what I was going to say, right? Like, I feel like looking at the roster that they built, looking at this team, they are the favorites. I mean, like, this
running
lineup,
away, dude. Running away.
They are
favorites.
It is insane how absolutely loaded. And yet,
does that worry you? USA have the expectations now.
It always will. It always will. Yeah. But like, and this is the team that has the most players, A, on the roster that you're like, what the fuck? And B, omissions that you're like, how is that humanly possible that this guy did? Like, it's the team with the most objections, and yet a firm favorite still, which is nuts. This is the golden era of USA hockey.
So let's talk about it. First and foremost, there are people that are mad about Matt Boldy being on the team, period.
Well, they're stupid.
But I'll defend the stupid people, though. Like, if you're a casual hockey fan that only watches the Wild occasionally, like, there are games where you can watch and I'd understand your anger and confusion, because a lot of the great things that Boldy does don't really stand out, right? Like, you can't really appreciate it if you're just like casually tuning in. The dude's on a fucking heater. He's putting up points, and he is playing an incredibly responsible two-way game. He can play both wings, and the line that he's projected to be on, Eichel, Gensel, and Boldy, is the greatest line that's ever been assembled in American history. I'm so excited for it.
Yeah.
And that's such a fun line. And that's their second line, by the way.
Right. Well, it's also funny, like, the first person that I always think about whenever it's like you talk about NHL fans' thoughts about the Minnesota Wild or whatever is Blackburn. And he put out such a funny...
Why would you think that?
Did you see the tweet he put out a couple days ago? Not only am I being forced to thoroughly respect the Minnesota Wild, I'm being forced to thoroughly enjoy them. This is uncharted territory, to say the least.
Right.
I read that. I was like, ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Now we need to get him on the podcast. Do a little therapy session.
But like the thing with, like you said though, like Matt Boldy, a lot of what he does, even as he's having this ridiculous season where he's made plenty of plays that do stand out, but like the two-way play, the subtleties are a big component of why he is as good as he is. Which, when you think about what we were talking about with like Team Canada's like D and like leaving out a guy like Bouchard, it's like, well, you actually can't, like, you have to like think about building an actual roster. Everything Matt Boldy does makes him an ideal pick for any of these tournaments where it's like you could literally put him anywhere in your lineup and he'll be fine. He's going to be a big impact player for you, lines 1 through 4. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, even strength, penalty kill, power play, like, doesn't matter. So, like, realistically, if people are going to be up in arms about that selection specifically, like, again, like, yeah, sure, maybe when you consider some of the omissions, like highlight real stuff, sure, but he is someone that like is, again, like the perfect player to have at an event like this, where it's like he can fluctuate all 4 lines.
You know what's crazy too? The third line still like gets me to feel things that I never thought I'd feel.
So that was one that I thought was interesting.
And maybe yours looks different. Tell me if yours.
No, I pulled up the same article. I pulled up yours.
Okay. Jack Hughes centering Brady Tkachuk and JT Miller. That's the cocaine line.
It's scary.
But like Brady Tkachuk and JT Miller are all-time gamers who are going to go out there and want to murder people, and Jack Hughes is just going to do his thing and go out there and embarrass goalies.
Is JT Miller, is he playing yet though?
He'll be back by then.
Yeah, that's true. I guess what is this, February? Okay, yeah. I keep thinking,
Yeah,
this doesn't the rosters out. I keep thinking about like
they announced the rosters a week before it starts.
It's nuts. Yeah.
But do you think they overthought the fourth line at all?
A little bit, probably. I mean, especially when you just consider how many of those players that they already had in the top 9 or whatever that can give you that two-way player or whatever. Yeah, bringing Kreider, Trocheck, and Nelson feels specifically bringing, honestly, like Trocheck and Nelson feels so repetitive.
I think Trocheck or Kreider will end up being the extra, though, more than likely. Mm-hmm. Like, it's going to be Larkin, Nelson, and one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say, like, I thought Nelson would be there regardless, but I also think, like, getting him deployed, and if he does his thing, like, we're signing up for Nelson being Guerin's target. He is, as we mentioned earlier in the show, he is the redundancy for Ek. He is Joel Eriksson Ek. He is. They are very comparable players, and I think he makes a ton of sense for the fourth line, regardless of how the team has been. Kreider and Trocheck are more interesting, and Vinny Trocheck, like he's a versatile guy. Like he's a great penalty killer. He can give you a lot of things, but people are big mad, which is funny because that's either very fitting or like a complete opposite.
Literally, the three players I have in mind. Yeah.
I have two. So Tage Thompson and Cole Caulfield are having frickin' years, and they're both left off. I'm going to be one of the rare people that supports it because it's not even a matter of like, oh, can you kill penalties, do this or that. You're not going to bring those two guys in and have them play 12 fucking minutes.
Right.
Like that is what the fourth line is going to be in a Bill Guerin built USA team. You don't want them for that kind of role because they aren't the like Energizer bunnies. They're not like, they can't play in that kind of scenario. These are guys that need their minutes and their touches or they're not going to be good. Now, if you want to argue that they should be in over one of the guys in the top 9, then I'll hear your argument, which everyone wants to say it's Matt Boldy who should be out, which shut up. You're all dumb. And I was once dumb. I was mad that Paul Fenton took Boldy because I wanted Cole Caulfield. I did. I wanted Cole Caulfield in that draft. And I've many times recanted that, which Cole Caulfield's still sick, but he's not Matt Boldy. I don't know. So Tage Thompson, tough. Cole Caulfield, tough. Who's your third guy that I missed?
The one that like, for whatever reason, like immediately when I saw the roster, I was like, no Clayton Keller. That feels weird. But then I remembered like Jason Robertson. Sorry,
J-Rob hasn't been as good this year.
Yeah, no, he's had a down year for sure. And I mean, even someone like with how good of a year he's having in Winnipeg, like Neil Pionk, but I mean that's a defenseman, I guess.
Yeah, there was no room on the defense. Honestly,
that's
like,
the thing. There's loaded.
Carlson were redundancies. The one that should have been, and I'm sure you
Brock Besser, maybe.
Oh no, Brock Besser will not sign with the Wild this summer.
Oh yeah,
it's not happening now. He's out.
Mm-hmm.
The one though that on the blue line, there's a guy that you more than me should be concerned wasn't included, but I think Jake Sanderson should have been.
Sanderson was that was the one I was thinking.
Kind of for the same reason I talked about earlier with like the Eklund Zetterlund thing, right? Like Jake Sanderson is going to be a Team USA staple. He will probably be on the Olympic team. Why not get him in there and get him his licks right now, right? Even if he's your 7th defenseman, like it just makes sense to me.
Yeah, and I'd have to pull up like the numbers or whatever, but like I would take him over like Hannafin.
Agreed.
It's hard to argue the other ones. Like
it is.
That's how loaded this fucking roster is.
No, I agree. It's
but I mean, if there was one D-man that I would feel comfortable replacing with someone like Sanderson, it would be Hanford. But yeah, I mean, either way, it's this decor like Quinn Hughes, Charlie McAvoy, Jacob Slavin, Adam Fox, Zach Werenski, Brock Faber. That is outrageous. Like, it is insane.
Basically, the only reason that Canada's not blown out of the water is because Cale Makar exists.
Yeah.
Who I will still maintain is the best player in the NHL, but I know the minority.
I gotta pull up.
How the hell did Swayman make this roster? What a bomb!
He's been bad this year. Like it's been.
I mean, I'm more tongue in cheek, but yes,
it's been bad. Oh yeah, no fucking Makar's 32 points in 26. Like he is a fucking alien.
He is the best player in the NHL.
He's crazy, dude.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this is a stupid lineup. Hellebuck in net. Good luck. The blue line you've got in front of him. How are ya? And we didn't even talk about the first line of Matthews, Connor, and Kachuk. What do you do against that?
And the fact that we finally get to watch both Kachuk brothers in the same team. I need a few shits on the ice.
No, I need them to be a PK unit.
If they like start competing, who can do the craziest shit in one shift? Like I honestly picture.
No,
Brady Kachuk should be so happy. Brady Kachuk should be so happy to be on like a loaded fucking team. By the way,
yeah.
But
Like, you know, he's gonna like. I feel like him or Matthew, one of them might actually just bring out a sword instead of a fucking hockey stick. Like, these guys are fucking crazy.
I need full D3 Mighty Ducks. I need both of them going to the penalty box together and doing like the strip dance. My question is, and this is a tough one, I'm putting you on the spot. We need to fully encompass the full vibe here. Who is their Kenny Wu? Who is their like third wingman guy? But they've got to like encompass like the weird dynamic of having Kenny Wu be their next guy. Like, who fits that? Like
JT Miller?
No, because JT Miller is a fucking monster.
That's
like
true.
I'm thinking it's like Jack Hughes. Jack Hughes is like my little baby Kenny Wu.
He's a psycho too.
Yeah, but he doesn't have the stature, you know?
Right.
All right, Brock Faber.
First wild fight of the year was Brock Faber, which is
that's true. I got to take that back now.
which was so crazy.
First fight of the year. That's crazy, dude. There's a lot. Oh nope. I take it back. It's not Jack Hughes. It's Quinn Hughes. Quinn Hughes gets it well. His wires don't cross.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Now, how
well,
does
you know what? Actually, and again, he probably might play one game, but this guy has been itching to fight someone for the last 2 years. Jeremy Swayman has been such a little fucking rat on the ice. It's so funny. Like, I mean, like, anytime someone has lightly grazed him, still with a smile on his face because he's a lunatic, he's been just fucking like going off. Yeah. And then he will look at the other goalie and just go with his glove face, like, let's fucking go. And no one's taking him up on it yet. It's so funny, dude.
Are we going to get a goalie hug? USA, Sweden?
Oh, yeah. Anytime they will. They'll do it.
But yeah, this is like, I understand, like, if you're a Sabres fan or a Canadiens fan, which I guess if you're a Canadiens fan, why would you want him on Team USA? Like, the same reason, like, yeah, I want Riley Heidt to play World Juniors because it'll be fun to watch him, but like, I don't want to help Canada.
Yeah.
Same deal with Matthew Wood. Like, I don't want him on Team Canada.
Mm-hmm.
But it's okay. Man, it's go off Billy G. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, okay.
It is really annoying, especially given that Marty Necas is having that we don't have Team Czechia, by the way. Like, I really, him and Pasternak, it's going to be
a ton of guys you could mention that should be on all these other teams. I mean, don't even get started on Russia. Like, holy crap. Their blue line would be a
By the way, Ovechkin's already flying around the ice, by the way, in practice. That is insane.
He might be back.
He is. I don't understand how like, this is the first time he's had a big injury.
Gas.
And he's already at, what is he, 39? 37? Like, I don't even
Russian
know.
Gas.
Like, he is just, like, looking whatever. He, like, I don't know how the build with his age and how he plays. It's insane that he's never before now had like a big injury, and he's all like, I mean, he's significantly ahead of schedule as far as like just his skating and mobility goes. Like, I don't understand, dude. Russian machine no break though. So there you go.
Never breaks. All right. I think we did it. I think this is it for this episode, which those of you listening on the pod audio, next week we will have the episode running at the normal time. We will not be doing it live. It's pre-recorded because we're going to record it right after this, and we're going to be talking heavy on World Juniors. We're going to be talking about we've got a ranking for wild players that we cannot afford to have be hurt. And what was the other thing we're talking about, Z? I know. Oh, and then we've got some NHL draft-esque stuff, and a new segment that we're going to be doing most weeks where I speak Marco Rossi trades out of existence by coming up with trades that we would accept if Billy Guerin decides that for whatever reason he doesn't want to extend him. So we need to start coping, pre-cope, but also if we talk about all these trades and come up with some that we like, hopefully it just the universe works in a way that he doesn't get traded.
Yep. Side note, Philly was down 4-1 to Florida. They came back. It's 4-4. Mitch Cobb 3 assists. Oh boy.
What about Sanheim? 3 goals?
You'll be shocked. 0 goals. Let me just actually, while we're here,
Z, watch a game.
Watch a game, but he's +1 though, so that's good. 2 blocks.
No, we say -1. Do we go like biblical on this shit and call it +1 or something like that?
I don't even know why. That got me.
I wasn't ready for you to get sent by that, to be honest. I'm laughing in reaction to your laughter.
That got me.
I only explained that because it definitely sounded like I was laughing at my own joke there, and I wasn't. You just started going. I'm like, fuck.
This just came out of nowhere. All
right. Well, we'll catch you guys next week.
And also right now.
Later.